Okay, here we have 3.3. We're going to solve linear inequalities. So we have done just linear inequalities normal. Now we're going to do them as a system. So first of all inequalities must be in slope-intercept form, y and then mx plus b, whether it's less, greater, less equal, greater, equal. Makes no difference as long as it is slope-intercept form. Then we're going to graph the inequalities the exact same way we did it when there was just one line, which means we're going to begin at our b. We're going to move our slope at least twice, because you need to make sure you have a really long line. You're going to connect your dots either open or closed based on less, greater, or less equal, greater, equal. And then you're going to shade. If it is greater, we're going to shade above. Unless it's vertical, then it's to the right. And if it's less or less equal, we're going to shade below. Unless it's vertical, then we shade to the left, because vertical is the only one that doesn't have it above or below. So it's exactly the same way that we did with graphing our lines in chapter 2. The difference is that now we have a system. So we have two lines on the same picture, two or more even, on the same picture, and where those shading intersect is actually going to be the solution of the whole system. So we're going to look at a few examples here. We're going to graph some and then go from there. So let's start with example number 1. We have y is greater than -2, and we have y less than or equal to 1. Hopefully we recognize that these are horizontal lines because there is no x value, it's a zero slope. So y -2 is a dashed line. Greater means we're shading above. Y less than or equal to 1, here's 1. It's equal to, so it's solid. And it's less, so we're shading below. And where you see their intersection, that is where the solution actually lies. So if you want to use colored pencils with that will be absolutely fine. One thing you definitely want to make sure is that whatever you come up with your final solution, darken it in a little bit. Make sure that it's very, very clearly marked. So here I have x plus y greater than -8. Negative y less than or equal to -x plus 6. So first thing we want to do is we want to put it in the proper form. So I'm going to move over the x. Second one, when I divide by a negative, I switch my sign, the inequality sign. Now when I graph this, again, you're doing it on graph paper, so everything is clearly marked. You have arrows, you have x, y labels. All your blocks are by 1. So I have -8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my slope is -1, 1. And again, I want to make sure that I have enough line dots so that when I connect, and in this case I'm connecting with a dash because it's not equal to. I want to make sure that I have my lines long enough so that my other line will intersect with it. Alright, so here I have -6, and my slope is 1 and 1. So notice I can keep going upwards, and if I connect these with a solid, because it's greater, I don't intersect. So I want to make sure that I'm always doing enough points in both directions to make sure that my lines actually cross. So on the red line, I'm greater, so that's up here. On the blue line, I'm greater. So I want to make sure that I go back, and what is their actual intersection? It's from that point upwards. So I do want to make sure that I go back and darken it in and be very clear that that is where my intersection is. Okay, let's do another one. Y greater than or equal to 0. X minus 4y less than 2. And y is less than x. All right, when the only one that needs to be changed is this middle one. When I subtract my x and divide by a -4, I gotta switch my sign. And then make sure my other signs are right, so +1/4 and -1/2. Now when I graph this, again, I have x's, I have y's, I have arrows, I have all my proper labels. Y greater than or equal to 0 is actually the x-axis, and it's solid. And greater is above. Then I have -1/2, and I'm rising 1 and running 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and reverse it. Make sure I have a long enough line. It is going to be dashed, and I am above. Okay, so right now their intersection is kind of up here. Now I need to look at my last one. It says y is less than x, so that means I'm starting at the origin. And my slope is +1/1. So I'm going to get down 1 to the right and up. So it's going to look something like this. It is going to be dashed. And then it's going to be below. Now I need to be very careful here because this under the x-axis is not included. So I probably want to make sure that that's really darkened in to make sure I'm very clear that I am not below this x-axis where this red and blue is. I am not below that. So I darken it in where all three of them met. Below the green, above the blue, and above the red. So that's how you do more than 2 lines. And that will be 3.3.